Prenuptial agreement.
Even before the relationship started.
The vigor in which your body language is shifting.
What is the essence of prenup?
We agree before we marry.
No longer restricted to celebrities.
Because this one is a true story.
No-go area.
Because you are already thinking of divorce. What?
Young couples that have...
They're entitled to half of everything that you have.
How do you even introduce the discussion?
He did not show. Like how we will go.
That's...
Prenuptial agreements.
What's all that about?
BabaShola.
What is all that about? Tell me.
Prenuptial agreement.
What is all that about? Is that now open to everyone? Is no longer restricted to celebrities?
Why should it be restricted to just celebrities? Let's even just say what it is. What do you understand prenuptial agreement is?
I'm accomplished. I have my worth. I've got properties, and I'm not going to a relationship. I'm not saying that no-go area. Or if anything happens, this is what I accomplished before you came into my life. So you have no right to any of my properties or any of my wealth. Even before the relationship started, there's already a boundary.
So the vigor in which your body language is shifting, I can see you're very passionate. To me, prenuptial agreement just simply means that we agree before we marry what we are bringing into the marriage.
So is that read out after I do and in the church?
No. This one before. And let me give you a story. You know me, I have a story behind most of these things. So, a young lady and a man, let me just say young for the sake of, because they might be a little bit older. They probably were older, because this one is a true story. The woman had agreed to the prenuptial agreement that the man wanted her to sign. Lawyers had put the prenuptial together. They were in love. Everything was going smoothly. All the woman had to do was sign the agreement. So she kept putting her phone, no, don't worry, darling, I'll sign it. She kept postponing. The day of the wedding, she hadn't signed it, but she expected to turn up and find her groom waiting for her at the altar. Guess what?
The groom didn't show.
He didn't show.
Then it wasn't meant to be.
He did not show.
That means that the prenup is more important than the lady.
Exactly. But why did the lady agree to do the prenup and didn't do it and then showed up at the stage? Both of them, there's no trust now. If she agreed to the prenup and didn't sign, did she do well?
Okay.
Why didn't she tell him, I don't have any intentions of signing?
Definitely. Okay, I agree. But what is the essence of prenup? That is, I need to understand that. What's the essence of prenup? The
essence of a prenup, BabaShola, is if, like we were talking about legacy, you have developed something, big things with, sometimes it might even involve things that have taken you 25 years, many years to build. Then you meet somebody who was no part of that journey with you. Depending on the laws of the land, which usually says when you marry somebody, if there's a divorce, they're entitled to half of everything that you have. At least half. Or even more sometimes, depending on whether you have children with them. Why should they be entitled to all of that?
Yeah, so does this apply to those that are accomplished or do newer couples, young couples that haven't achieved anything, go into prenup agreements?
Usually prenuptial agreements come up mainly when one person thinks they've accomplished something. Whether in your eyes is an accomplishment is neither here nor there. The point is they only want what they do together to be what they share, not what they've had before they came into a relationship. When me and you first got into our first relationship, we had nothing. So prenuptial maybe didn't come into the thing. And that is why sometimes it's very painful when you've been married for a long time. And then I will never recommend divorce. And this aspect of prenuptial is the question mark bit. Because you are already thinking of divorce. Why would you get married and be thinking of divorce? So on that one, if that's where you are going,
yes,
I agree with you.
Because the relationship hasn't even started. How do you even introduce the discussion? I'm trying to get my head around. How do you introduce the discussion?
Well, it will be when you've accomplished something now.
So you're dating, and then you will say, oh, by the way, okay, I love you, we are going to get married, but however, you have to sign that there's a prenuptial agreement that you have.
No, BabaShola, let's just look at it rationally. The same reason why we always say do your research. When you are going to think, when you get to a point where you think you might be interested in someone, we say go for tests.
Yes.
You do blood tests. You do so many tests to see if there's anything you should be mindful of. It shouldn't come up like that. It should be a discussion like we're doing now. And I'm spitting. Sorry about that. It should be a discussion. I've built something before I met that person. Let's even take a situation where you've built a brand of whatever. You understand?
Yeah.
And then somebody, okay, let's even talk about this platform that we have here, Matters of the Heart. Fortunately, both of us are in secure relationships. Do you understand? God forbid.
God forbid.
Like how we will go.
It's an African thing.
Yes, God forbid. That either of us should be in a situation where we're divorced, and then our respective partner says they want to take over the platform, or at least they want half of our platform here on YouTube. That is what we are talking about. Something that if it's taken over, they might not be able to run it in the same way. So you just want to keep them out of that. And even sometimes it's a defense. It's not always a financial thing. That's what I want you to understand.
I find it difficult. I've never been a student of or a believer of prenuptial.
I wasn't a believer of prenup.
So
until
what?
I've seen the fact that when you have accomplished something, it's okay. Like you said, when you are a billion, the Bill Gates and the Jeff Bezoses, even if they gave half of what they've got away, they still got plenty more. But those wives they had were entitled to those things because they helped them to build those platforms.
And it will supersede a prenuptial agreement. It will.
I believe not, because a prenuptial agreement is a bit like a will. It's something that you are saying before that this is what. So what you're saying is if one of the parties die before, they will still do because that prenuptial agreement might say something like, my children that I had in my previous relationship will be the ones that will get the things.
But that can go in the will.
That can.
So rather than, because will, we know the role of a will. So rather than that old-fashioned will to be replaced with prenup, I would go for will anytime. I would, if I'm getting into a relationship, whatever, I will write the will. Even as an accomplished person, write the will and state everything that blah, 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 this is what I want in the will.
Okay.
Rather than prenup. Because prenup, you are going into a new relationship and you have prenup. To me, it's red flag for me. It sends so many wrong ideas. If, for instance, I'm getting into a relationship with a lady that is very accomplished, and she brings the word prenup before me, it's a turn off for me.
You make a valid point. It'd be interesting to have your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about whether people should do a prenuptial agreement if they are very well accomplished? In some of African cultures, even in Ghanaian culture, because my husband is Ghanaian, as you know, there's some tribes, the Ashantis, for example, that everything is matriarch.
Okay.
So sometimes people who marry these people lose out when the husband dies because everything goes to
but did they know what they were getting into?
So in those kind of situation, the prenuptial.
No, but they know what they were getting into. It's a matriarchic, whatever. They know what they were getting into.
So these are some of the things for consideration. have a think. If you're a very accomplished man or woman, like BabaShola is saying, is it going to bring some sour grapes to your relationship? If you say, because my husband has 4 children, I have 1. We have what we call a blended family. And that's something we're going to talk about at some point. How do you work with blended families? In my own situation, we've perfected it. We've been doing it like 5 years before. Well, we met in 2010, we married in 2016. My husband proposed in 2014. But we brought our children, especially the youngest ones, into the relationship to let them know that this is our intention.
And that was intentional.
That was intentional. Yeah. And what are your thoughts? Now, there are some things that my husband has that he's assigned to each of his children. And there's some things that in our will we've assigned to us. And so these are the kind of reasons why you have to think about that, because it isn't just all about, like I always say, love is not enough. You have to look at your practical situation. Yeah. If you're coming in with 4 kids and then you marry a new hot, young, and usually the red flags come up when an elderly man with lots of responsibilities, maybe 3 or 4 previous relationships, now comes and marries a pretty young woman.
Put it in the will.
And you know the problems wills cause as well when they have the family meeting about what's in the will. Some people are contesting that will. And you know that.
But then I'm 6 feet down. I wouldn't know, but I know that the lawyers would, the legal, there would be a means of resolving.
Maybe some of you legal ones can tell us what's the difference between a will and a prenuptial agreement. What are the pros and cons of it? Because for me, some people don't like doing wills, and I can testify to that. I have family members, I don't want to mention them. If you go and talk to them about a will, they'll think you are trying to kill them early.
Oh my God.
And that's another thing we can get
to. They don't have life insurance.
What are you saying? Like, are you trying to kill them?
Oh my God.
So, BabaShola,
2024.
This is what we're dealing with. So, your issues about will or no will. So, some people, prenuptial might be the lesser evil than the will, because the will to them means that you are trying to kill them. I'm telling you, I have family members with plenty of children, house and everything, and they don't want to talk about it. Comment in the chat if you know such families, or even if you are one of those people who feel that a will is almost like, we were talking in a previous episode about writing your memorial before you die. Your eulogy. Yes, your eulogy before you die. So these are taboos: prenuptial, will, eulogy. All these things suggest when things are not when you're not around anymore, or when you divorce.
That's what they're scared of.
Yes.
You have
but we cannot trivialize it.
I know.
Because these are real fears. But let's look at some of the advantages. Maybe that might help. And then look at the disadvantages. Let's start with the disadvantages of having a prenup, in your opinion.
In my opinion, disadvantages, it can cause, I don't know, people, the other party will be fearful from the onset, and mistrust, and even challenge the affection, whether it's more of protecting what he or she has than than the love they have.
So why do you feel that it would undermine trust? Because I think it's quite endearing that somebody's actually brought it on the table that, honey.
Okay, give me an example. Give me an example of how it can be crafted.
It can just be that, honey, you know what? I have, a lot of properties over the years that I have 6, 7 kids. I don't want these kids to feel any way about the fact that I'm marrying into this new relationship, feel threatened that any of these things will pass over. Okay. So let's just do a prenuptial agreement where everything that I've had so far with them, their mother passed away many years ago, that me and you, our relationship will have nothing to do with all that previous things. That's it.
Wow. I say transfer that onto the will.
What if you don't believe in will?
But if you don't believe in will,
And
believe in something.
Yeah, but don't forget, also, the thing about will sometimes is if people know you've put all that in their will, they might be targeting you to kill you off early so that they can get what you have. These things are not that straightforward, BabaShola. And that's one of the reasons why some people don't like doing wills. And I've also known of situations where when some children, not all children, know that their parents have written a will that puts them mainly in the frame, they want to do some things to you to get the will early.
That can also apply to a prenup.
Prenup is to do with divorce. It's not to do with death.
Or with divorce.
Yes. So these things are complicated, basically, and it needs more thinking. Prenuptial agreement is about if you divorce your current partner, that some things will stay as they are, as planned. Will is to do with what happens after when you're dead.
So what happens if they don't divorce and then, the partner eventually passes on? Will what was contained in the prenup be transferred to the will?
No, a prenup is a prenup is a prenup.
So after the death of the partner, of the writer of the prenup is that's the end of that prenup agreement, obviously.
If somebody has a will, clearly in their will, they will say that those items, if they have a will, those items will stay with whoever it is they wanted it to stay with. Yes. So you make a valid point. But I think the prenup is to protect the significant others as well as the property to start with. The will is to protect them after death. So there's a before and after.
What comes to mind as well is prenup is actually suggesting that the other party is a lesser partner.
I disagree. I disagree. It's all about transparency. You could say to somebody that, look, there's something precious that has already, it's got nothing to do with you.
Oh my God.
And so at the end of the day, we are in a new relationship. We want to start that relationship and develop our own things in that relationship. Maybe this one is for food for thought. We'll really, really, really encourage you to make your thoughts, your comments known. And we'll do some more research on that because at the end of the day, these are real things that people are dealing with. Will is a good idea. To have a will is a good idea. Whether to let your kids and your children and your people know what you put in the will, I don't know. Maybe you save that till those kind of films you watch where after the will, then everybody gathers. Then you'll see some. If some of you have watched some of those African movies, then some people will come out of the woodwork that you didn't know, and then they'll read the will, and then they'll find some things that they were not expecting. Prenuptial agreements is a very Western concept. I don't know. Maybe you've experienced it in other cultures, but it's very Western.
I think my focus would be, make sure you get a life insurance.
A story for another day. What is life insurance?
Yeah, life insurance is in the event that I pass on. For instance, my wife has some money.
Everybody should have
all dependent on the level of insurance. Money for my wife and children.
Some people will say Jesus is my insurance. At that point, I rest my case. These are good practices that
I don't even have a response to that.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
See you at the next one.